Hello, welcome to MOOCs. My name is Zifeng Wu from Overseas Chinese University. My topic is Mazu's birthday. Mazu is the goddess of the sea. Before we talk about Mazu, let's watch the video first. You will explore the legend of Mazu.
Mazu belief and customs. Esteemed by both official authorities and ordinary folk, Mazu is the most influential navigation goddess of the sea. Originally named Lin Monyang, Mazu was born on March the 23rd, 960 AD, according to the lunar calendar, on Mazu Island in Putian City, Fujian Province. Throughout her entire life, Mazu helped her fellow townspeople by forecasting the weather, making medicines, curing patients, and saving lives from shipwrecks. It was also said that once she set her own house on fire so that the flames would guide merchant ships that had become lost at sea. On September the 9th, 987 AD, according to the lunar calendar, she sacrificed her life at the age of just 28 when trying to save lives from a shipwreck. Local residents then built a temple in memory of this beautiful, virtuous, and kind lady. They started to worship her as the goddess of the sea. Later on, the imperial governments from various dynasties bestowed on Mazu the title of Heavenly Concubine, Heavenly Queen, and Holy Mother 36 times in all. As maritime activities flourished, Mazu temples were established in port cities all over the world, following in the footprints of Chinese emigrants. For instance, the Portuguese name for the city of Macau came from the pronunciation of the word Mazu Pavilion. Mazu belief and customs have spread to over 20 countries and regions. She's worshipped by more than 200 million followers in more than 5,000 Mazu temples around the globe even today. Worship of her gradually becoming a mainstream belief, as well as part of the public cultural heritage in regions where the belief is particularly strong. Mazu belief and customs are a folk culture dedicated to the worship and praise of Mazu's grace, benevolence, and philanthropy. Mazu palaces and temples are the major venue for various activities manifested in relevant customs, temple fairs, and folk tales. Mazu belief and customs primarily consist of worshipping ceremonies, folk customs, and folk tales. Worshipping ceremonies can either be a family sacrifice or a temple sacrifice. The worship of Chuanzai Ma is regarded as one of the most primitive forms of Mazu belief and customs in terms of family sacrifice. In it, the sculpture of Mazu will be placed on a boat so as to pray for peace and a safe voyage. Later on, this evolved into placing the Mazu sculpture at a family's residence, or even in the automobile, or the family making a direct sacrifice to the sea, praying for peace. Meanwhile, a daily temple sacrifice often includes acts such as offering floral tributes, lighting incense and candles, as well as letting off firecrackers. Such a ceremony primarily includes the following formalities: priests in waiting, welcoming the goddess, lighting incense, reciting the eulogy, performing a 3-time offering, genuflecting 3 times, kowtowing 9 times, and finally seeing the goddess off. The moderator from the first Mazu temple on Mazu Island will be the chief priest, while representatives from other Mazu temples will act as attending priests. There will be sacrificial utensils, such as candlesticks, incense burners, and drums and bells on the altar, with hundreds of kinds of marine animals and mountain landscapes constructed from powder, shiitake mushrooms, and jelly fungi. The honor guards will carry flags, carriages, and ancient weapons. For sacrificial music, musicians will perform musical pieces with local melodies and tunes, using 28 different traditional Chinese instruments. These include the suona horn, drums, rocks, flutes, and guitars. Meanwhile, sacrificial dancers will carry feathers, flutes, and perform yun and die dance steps, which are commonly used in traditional Chinese operas. The temple fair takes the following form. According to the lunar calendar, temple fairs are held on March the 23rd, which is the birthday of Mazu, and September the 9th, which is the anniversary of her resurrection. Whenever a new Mazu temple is set up, representatives from the new temple will hold the statue of Mazu in both hands to take part in the incense ceremony, which is held in the first Mazu temple on Mazu Island. During this, they collect ashes from the incense there and take them back to the new Mazu temple in order to share the spiritual power of the goddess. Representatives from divisional Mazu temples will pay visits and offer incense to the first Mazu temple on Mazu Island at regular intervals, following the folk custom that a children returns to her mother's house from time to time. The statue of Mazu will be carried around Mazu Island and to other divisional Mazu temples in Taiwan, Jinmen, and Macau, and be worshipped by followers. There will be dragon dances, lion dances, Wuliang San dances, and sedan chair performances such as Baizongjiao and Shuadaojiao. Folk customs surrounding Mazu include the following. At traditional festivals, fishermen, farmers, and local residents circulate with Mazu lanterns in the evening. Women from Mazu Island shape their chignon into the form of a sailing boat and wear a blue upper jacket and black and red trousers to show their homage to Mazu and pray for the safe return of their families. Fishermen voluntarily refrain from fishing around Mazu's birthday so as to reflect the harmony between men and nature. During this process, moving folklore is handed down, such as stories about Mazu's guarding merchant boats, blessing ambassadors, driving out invaders, and eradicating plagues. There exist more than 4,000 archives, district annals, inscriptions on tablets, and murals concerning Mazu. Affinity is one notable feature of the Mazu belief and customs. Embodying the maternal, all-embracing love, Mazu is also intimately known as mother, auntie, or Mazu among ordinary people. Mazu belief and customs are continually evolving. For instance, the sacrificial dance was originally attended by just female dancers. Later on, it evolved to include both male and female participants. Floats have been added to the Mazu excursion to perform folk tales about the goddess. Mazu belief and customs are inherited through incense ceremonies, family lines, and folk tales. The priesthood, sacrificial offerings, sacrificial dances, and music are inherited through the tradition of the master-apprentice relationship. Mazu belief and customs have become a connecting tie amongst her followers. They play a unique role in both family and society harmony, as well as all-embracing love. Mazu belief and customs have also become a spiritual homeland for Chinese folk and a public sign of cultural identity amongst Chinese people around the globe. Overseas Chinese build Mazu temples in other areas around the world by residing in harmony amongst the indigenous people. As rapid globalization, industrialization, and urbanization speed up and impact on traditional values, the activity space left for Mazu belief and customs has become relatively smaller. So, the Chinese government is currently adopting more measures to protect Mazu belief and customs. In May 2006, the State Council included Mazu belief and customs in the first group list of national intangible cultural heritages. It also approved the establishment of China's Association of Mazu Cultural Communications. In addition, the Mazu Island government has applied to set up a cultural ecological conservation area in which academic research will be conducted and many books and documents published. The government will issue public proclamations to allow people to respect special customs within Mazu belief. It will also devote manpower and technical resources to make sure these activities of Mazu belief and customs can be conducted in a conventional way. By that time, vehicles will have been restricted in the area and the use of environmentally friendly vehicles will be encouraged instead. Tourists will also have limited entry to central regions of the area so that Mazu belief and customs will be inherited in an appropriate cultural ecological environment.
Now we'll come back to the history of Mazu. My assistant Vasi will introduce the legend of Mazu for everyone.
Hello. So now I'm going to talk to you about the history of Mazu. Mazu, Taiwan's favorite goddess, turns 1,055 years old this year, 2015. Mazu, who was born in 1960 AD, has been revered for over 10 centuries as the goddess of the sea. Mazu, or Mazu, Chinese goddess of the sea, even after a millennium has passed, is the most worshipped in the world with over 1,500 active temples and 100 million devotees. Mazu is the most influential goddess of the sea. In China's coastal areas, especially in the Southeast Asia and Taiwan, over the time, the cult of Mazu has never been a dead fossil. By far, Mazu is the most popular and trusted deity in Taiwan folk religion. The Mazu pilgrimage is considered to be one of the greatest religious festivals in the world, and since 2010 has been recognized by UNESCO as a World Intangible or Living Heritage. Who is this sea goddess, and why has she so firmly captured the imagination of the Taiwanese? Here is a fascinating story. According to legend, the goddess was born in a fishing family on March 23rd in 960 AD in Mazu. It was during China's Northern Song dynasty, and Mazu is just off the coastal province of Fujian in China. She was called Lin Moniang, Moniang meaning quiet girl, because she never cried out during birth. From an early age, Moniang was noted for her remarkable intelligence and supernatural power. Clever, brave, and kind-hearted, Moniang could forecast the weather and was happy to help fishermen in distress at sea. She acquired the ability to know events that would happen in a distant time or place since childhood. Word spread quickly that Mazu saved many fishermen's lives and warned them about approaching dangers. What started off as village whispers soon became legend. She was much loved and respected by the people in her hometown. Unfortunately, she died an early death at only 28. She had performed numerous miracles during her short life. Many of the miracles she performed involved quelling storms at sea, so it is hardly surprising that she is known as the protector of all seafaring people. Even today, many sailors and fishermen invoke the sea goddess for protection. Before setting sail, as the legend goes, she ascended to heaven and became an immortal at Mazu Bay in Putian. Local fishermen built a temple in Moniang's hometown to pay respect to her and began to venerate her as a goddess. She was honored as Mazu. In Minnan dialect, Ma is a respectful form of addressing an elderly or venerable woman. Mazu means grandmother, which is an expression of ultimate respect. For more over 1,000 years, she has been living with a composed and tender smile, in the heart of the people. The people pay homage to her. Mazu has many names and titles, known in different regions as Ama, or the mother goddess in Macau, and other names during the millennium after her death. The imperial courts of several different dynasties raised her statues with new and official title as Guanyin of the Southern Sea, daughter of the dragon and empress of heaven. There are more than 50 promotions in all. Mazu has two divine assistants on her both sides. They are said to have been evil spirits from Peach Flower Mountain who were subdued by Mazu. One is called Tianliyan, 1,000-mile eye, green with two horns, who can see ships at risk 1,000 miles away. And the other is known as Shunfeng, far-hearing ear, shown red with a single horn, who can hear distress calls from a great distance. Both were perpetually demons who loved Mazu and wanted to wed her, so she claimed that whichever could defeat her would be her husband. Neither did, and instead they became her constant bodyguards. To this day, the pair of defeated subordinates are seen by her side in statuary, an image and as puppets in the annual processionals that celebrate Mazu's birthday. They assisted Mazu to repel evil spirits and suppress wicked creatures everywhere. The respect for Mazu has turned into a widespread belief with the passage of time. Following the footprints of sea merchants and overseas Chinese, Mazu went out of her hometown, out of Fujian, and out of China, making her presence in many corners of Asia, America, Australia, and Europe. As a result, over 1,500 Mazu temples are found all over the world. The belief in Mazu has become a sort of transnational folk belief with more than 100 million worshippers. Wherever there are Chinese, there is Mazu. Long ago, many people had immigrated from southern mainland China to Taiwan in the 17th century. They prayed to Mazu for the safety of their voyage on sea and erected a temple on the island in gratitude for their safe arrival there. Through word of mouth among the fishermen, whenever one is endangered and calls out to Mazu, one sees a woman in red carrying in a red lantern, guiding the boat to safety. Later on, Mazu came to be widely accepted and has become one of the most popular gods of Taiwan today. Mazu is worshipped by Taiwanese from all walks of life now. One worships Mazu because she is regarded as Merlin in Chinese. That is more efficacious than other gods and as having had a good record of granting adherents' wishes. According to statistics, around 2/3 of the population in Taiwan believes in Mazu, and more than 500 Mazu temples are scattered on the island. The importance of Mazu to the people of Taiwan is obvious. Near the end of World War II, a mysterious Taiwan miracle was reported. When American planes started to bomb Japanese-occupied Taiwan, many women prayed to Mazu, and it is said the figure of a beautiful lady suddenly appeared in the sky, dressed in red, holding out a red cloth to catch the falling bombs. To her believers, this was no illusions. The Mazu cult of Taiwan can be divided into two major divisions. One is derived from the Chaotian Temple at Beigang in Yunlin County, built in 1694 AD, and the other from the Zhenlan Temple in Dajia, Taichung City, built in 1732 AD. The Chaotian Temple is said to have the most divided spirits in Taiwan, attracting countless worshippers. However, the Dajia Mazu pilgrimage, dating back to the Qianlong period of Qing dynasty, a trip made once every 12 years, is the most representative and largest pilgrimage in Taiwan, attracting more than 100 million visitors every year since 2005. Mazu's birthday. Mazu's birthday falls on the 23rd day of lunar March, but usually falls within the month of April on the Western calendar. Lunar March is the height of Mazu mania, which grips the nation with festivals held in grand style throughout Taiwan in Mazu temples. Easily among the most famous of these ceremonies was the tradition of the escorting the Mazu icon from the Zhenlan Temple in Dajia in Taichung City to visit her ancestor in what was regarded as the Mother Temple in Beigang in Yunlin County, and to obtain the flame from the incense burner there. That journey, a distance of some 330 kilometers with walk up to 12 hours per day, is known as Jingxiang, and has been carried out since the time of the Japanese occupation. But in 1987, a dispute broke out between the two temples over the ranking of their respective deities, and the destination was changed from Chaotian Temple in Beigang to another temple nearby, the Fengtian Temple in Xingang in 1988. The Cross Island pilgrimage starts from the Zhenlan Temple in Dajia and goes hundreds of kilometers through Taichung, Zhanghua, Yunlin, and Jiayin, 4 cities and counties, before returning to Dajia 9 days later. This is done for the blessing of her worshippers, to spread blessing and to repel evil from them. In the past, the pilgrimage lasted only 7 days, 6 nights. The journey has lasted 8 days, 7 nights since 1962, but the route was extended to 9 days, 8 nights due to the increasing number of believers and temples since 2010. Here's the 9-day route. Dajia is the start and end point of the festival's highlight, the Dajia Mazu pilgrimage. The actual day, time, and route for Mazu pilgrimage festival is determined by casting moon-shaped divination blocks or jiaobei blocks. Each year, the pilgrimage follows a different path depending on the will of Mazu, which is divined at the temples on Lantern Festival. Sometimes she asks her devotees to walk through rivers instead of crossing bridges or smoothly paved roads. In accordance with tradition, during the 9-day, 8-night pilgrimage, there are 8 primary ceremonies: prayers for peace, mounting the palanquins, the departure of the procession, the arrival of the procession, prayers for prosperity, wishes for longevity, the return of the procession, the safe reinstallation of the statues. Before talking about Mazu pilgrimage, let's watch 2 exciting videos for a few minutes to experience how Taiwanese are crazy about Mazu in March.
它绕境的地方是从大甲开始，途经了台中、彰化、云林、嘉义，然后再回驾， 所以借这个机会呢，大家更了解妈祖，更了解这片土地。
日以继夜，夜以继日，不停地赶路，就是要把我们这个所有的庙宫都走一遍。
你马不简单哦！加油加油，大家加油！加油，先请加油！来一个吧，来一个，来一个，来一个！
好，你你啦，我定来看你电视啦。
加油，就我这是大。哦，来。
没有办法用什么东西去报答他，那我们就跟着前人的脚步，一起跟着妈祖。后来自己走第一次之后，发觉是其实这个活动让你可以更贴近台湾的乡土跟这些人民。
我到妈祖婆要带行。
只要你有心有时间来，想要来体验都可以的。
对，只要来走，跟妈祖走一段也可以。
对，前面还有人在奉茶，3点外呢。
有啊，我做婆我讲唔敢讲。
没有什么好献给大家的，
来呀来，朋友来干一杯，好汉看放来三更，来我讲遐多，来呀来，朋友干一杯，欢欢喜喜来相会，打拼一句话，一直到底。
凶险的海面，千里顺风，妈祖来显身，一道春秋，可叹咱回首，匆忙的世间，一代天后忧愁。风起云涌金南乡，心为显现。
讲阮无妈妈，人阮是妈祖的囡仔呢。
不知影这世间有啥款的无奈，生命的意义又搁有啥款的期待？天顶的月娘不必妈妈日梦来，陪阮念歌，陪阮沉暝到天光。人讲阮是妈祖的囡仔，我会勇敢，啥物拢不惊。伊会保庇阮慢慢啊大，大若大汉会予你好命。人讲阮是妈祖的。啥物拢不惊，对你的思念，你敢有在听？我会求妈祖传予你知影。知影这世间有啥款的无奈，生命的意义又搁有啥款的期待？天顶的月娘不必妈妈日梦来，陪阮念歌，陪阮沉暝到天光。人讲阮是妈祖的囡仔，我会勇敢，啥物拢不惊。伊会保庇阮慢慢啊大，大若大汉会予你好命。人讲阮是妈祖的。啥物拢不惊，对你的思念，你敢有在听？我会求妈祖传予你知影。
Are you touched by the spectacular sight? Now let's go to the detail of Mazu pilgrimage. Palanquin, sedan chair. The pilgrimage often attracts over 1 million participants, and huge festive crowds gather wherever Mazu's palanquin goes. It involves the passage to a total of 111 temples over a span of 9 days. Few religious festivals can match the enormity of the Mazu International Festival in central Taiwan's Taichung City. A carnival-like atmosphere prevails during the Mazu Festival, extremely colorful, loud, and lively. Nothing says happy birthday like firecrackers and skyrockets. They're not just for merrymaking. Loud sounds are meant to scare evil spirits away and signal the start of the pilgrimage. Mazu is also run backwards and forward to gather enough qi, or life force, for the long journey ahead. Folk art performances adds joy to religious ceremony and helps to preserve folk art culture. The pilgrimage is of course for the holy. However, for people watching alongside the road, the art array is often the attraction. An originally religious activity has been transformed into a highly welcomed festival through programs and performances appealing to all ages. It can attract up to 100,000 devotees all over the world to see Mazu off, and a parade featuring lion dances, floats, and variety of performing artists, the lighting of firecrackers, and the sound of gongs and drums, all to please Mazu. Fireworks and loud trumpets hooray to the start of the main procession, where Mazu's statue is carried in her palanquin through packed streets. The Mazu goddess gets to meet other sister Mazu in different temples. It's believed these exchanges empower temple and bring luck to local communities. The start of this procession is the climax of what has become a month-long international festival designed to help people learn about Mazu's history and culture. From the moment the palanquin is raised, everyone goes wild in the midst of noise, firecrackers, and smoke, trying their hardest to reach out and touch the sedan chair for Mazu's blessing. During the tour, more followers will continually come to worship and prostrate themselves under Mazu's sedan, allowing the palanquin to pass over their bodies and give blessing, because it is believed that one would get fortunes and become prosperous by going underneath the palanquin. The pilgrims walk day and night behind Mazu's sedan for miles, usually stopping for only 5 hours of sleep at night. Though the walk is demanding, it's uncommon for even a single believer to quit the Mazu pilgrimage. Even with the physical challenge, every year, hundreds of thousands of people join the trek. If you like, please watch the video regarding the opening ceremony.
请不要急，好不好？好，注意安全，安全胸前好。
好，来提醒大家，
来，后面先不要急，好不好？
请大家不要往前挤，好不好？大家不要往前挤，然后这个通道还是让出来。
来了，快走了，先迈进哦。 双手来掌，恭送着咱大家啊！地方南部9加8个人叫平安，大家嘛下个年各位信徒后平安健康，啊咱对妈祖婆一步一步慢慢来行，咱都是妈祖婆的好妈祖婆的囡仔吼，后生啊对妈祖婆慢慢行吼。
Mazumania, free meals, great parties. The local residents along the route often provide free stays, free meals, and free drinks to cheer on the weary devotees. You can feel the full folk reverence for Mazu. The devout faith to Mazu ties the Taiwanese tightly together. It's no surprise that the local nickname for the festival is Mazu March Mania. A number of companions in the form of large puppets create a colorful parade. These include her divine assistants, Thousand Mile Eye, typically green skin, and far hearing ear, is red-faced, both serve as Mazu's eyes and ears. At the front of the procession is a person who acts as a messenger, striking a handheld gong to announce Mazu's arrival. He is strangely dressed and wears one shoe only. This last detail is meant to convey his determination to spread the message of Mazu's coming. Every accessory on his body has a special meaning. For example, eyeglasses are to remind everyone to distinguish right from wrong. Other items are mostly Chinese homonym related. As the highly participated event was full of tourism potential, the Tourism Board of Taiwan promoted the event and the procession as a cultural festival to boost the local tourism in recent years. The culture of Mazu worship has its own distinct history and an impact on local life. The festival includes a competition of Mazu photographs, performances by local and foreign entertainers, inexpensive tours of Taichung, and academic seminars on the various attributes of Mazu worship in Taiwanese and other Asian cultures. One of the world's third largest religious events, it's understandable that the Mazu procession has been selected by the Discovery Channel as one of the top 3 holy pilgrimages in the world, along with Christmas Eve midnight mass at the Vatican and the Muslim pilgrimage to Mecca. Today, Mazu is said to be not only the goddess of the sea, but also the guardian of Taiwan. Mazu pilgrimage is now considered as Taiwan's cultural Mecca. It has become an event to show great community spirit and human kindness. I am sure Mazu's legacy will keep on living on in the spiritual life of Taiwan. If you're not keen on the 9-day pilgrimage or miss the annual grand festivity, perhaps you can feel her power via cable TV or internet. To keep track of the entire pilgrimage, Zhenlan Temple has been cooperating with Fengjia University since 2008, setting a GPS receiver, a digital camera, and 4 video recorders on Mazu's palanquin. Both real-time position of the palanquin and live videos on the scene along the way of pilgrimage were published on the internet, providing pilgrims, tourists, and viewers around the world with an open access to observe the entire event.
If you are a foreigner and happen to visit Taiwan around March on the Chinese calendar, which is around mid-April, please come to the Mazu's pilgrimage. At last, I have selected 2 videos for you to watch. Enjoy them. Bye-bye.
bom bom, bing bom bom, bing bing bom bom, bing bom bom.
Hi, I'm Mark Edwards. Welcome to Travelog and welcome to our Taiwan series. In this episode, we're going to be taking in a little bit of culture and a little bit of history as we head from central Taiwan all the way down to the southernmost tip, taking in Tainan and Kaohsiung on the way. We're lucky enough today to be at the largest, and I've been told, the wildest religious festival in the whole of Taiwan. That is the Mazu pilgrimage. You see people all around me, and actually I'm going to go and walk in towards the temple and the fireworks. Let's go and have a look.
Beigang is our hotspot destination to take in this once-in-a-lifetime experience. To be precise, we're heading to the lively Chaotian Temple, also known as the Palace Facing Heaven. Visited by no fewer than 3 million people every year, this is one of Taiwan's most important religious sites. Its fame rests on something it was built to enshrine, an image of the goddess Mazu, the goddess of the sea who protects seafaring people. Brought to Beigang in the 17th century, it's been worshipped here ever since. And all this veneration is hardly surprising when you take in that the island's been so dependent on fishing and immigration from across the sea. Just so happens that this time of the year is when hundreds of groups coming from temples all over the island make a pilgrimage on Mazu's birthday. They bring their own Mazu effigies to commune with the venerated deity here, the belief being that this will confer greater spiritual energy on their own images for another year.
Right, the best piece of advice I was given all day is to make sure you wear something long sleeve and something long at the bottom. Now, that's because the fireworks, as you can see behind me, are absolutely crazy. You'll get hit everywhere. Make sure you've got some earplugs, something for your eyes, cover every bit of your body. Even here, even your neck.
What happens is that a few days before the big day, hundreds of thousands of Mazu devotees will besiege the town to see her paraded through the streets in a ceremonial sedan chair. The backdrop to this is a chaotic kaleidoscope of fireworks, the largest of its type on the island. The festivities reach a crescendo on the actual birthday, when a dawn ritual is performed to thank Mazu's parents for bringing her into this world. One version of the Mazu story has it that she was a real woman named Lin Monyang, who was born in 960 AD and spent her whole life in selfless devotion, guiding ships into harbour and saving seafarers from drowning.
So on this very day, people from all over the world who are Mazu worshippers will come back to their particular region, and in this region is where all the smaller branches will make their way to the main temple where we were before. So it really is an international day, full of fireworks.
In many ways, it's hardly what you'd expect from a religious festival. It's bright, it's colourful, and it's loud. More akin to the carnival in Rio. There's a real feeling of camaraderie here, as well as the sense that you're continuing a time-honoured tradition. If you've ever wondered what it would be like to experience the colour and religious fervour of a medieval pageant, then the Beigang Mazu Festival is for you. Even if it can be a little heavy on the ears, it's a treat for the eyes. But that's not the only part of your body that'll be treated. Children on blimps showering everyone with candy really reinforces the carnival atmosphere, as there's music everywhere and the costumes are all so extravagant. Doesn't come cheap though. Parents beware. The local wisdom is that it can cost as much as $300 to keep your child in sweets for the day. Right, it's time to get out of here before everyone's teeth have rotted off completely in a haze of sugary heaven. On to somewhere a little quieter.
So I finally managed to rip myself away from all the fun and craziness at the Mazu pilgrimage in Beigang. And I've headed down south an hour to Tainan, which is the oldest city in the whole of Taiwan. It's got around 400 years of history, and I've been told that tradition permeates the entire place. So we've got lots of little streets and traditional culture everywhere.
Tainan is the island's 4th largest city, with a population of just over 750,000 people. It wasn't always that way. For more than 200 years, from 1661 to 1887, Tainan was Taiwan's capital and the cultural and commercial center of the island. These days, Tainan is regarded as one of Taiwan's most socially progressive cities. Modern, but clean and cultured, where a 21st century social scene is combined with deep respect for history and tradition. Just lose yourself in the maze of narrow lanes, courtyards, and garden walls that embrace hundreds of shrines and temples, and you'll quite literally be able to touch history.
So I'm actually touching a piece of Taiwan history right here. This is the oldest wall on the whole of the island and was built in 1624 by early Dutch settlers when they came here and built the castle named Fort Zeelandia, which is just up ahead, so I'm going to go and have a look.
Anping is the oldest part of Tainan. It's also one of the oldest non-indigenous settlements on Taiwan. Back in 1624, it was where the Dutch established a settlement that they called Fort Zeelandia. But their stay was only brief, because 38 years later, Koxinga turned up and drove them out. Koxinga, also known as Zheng Chenggong, was a Ming dynasty general who landed here with 25,000 soldiers and is generally recognized as kick-starting a Chinese cultural renaissance on the island. He's eulogized as the only Han general to inflict a major defeat on a colonial Western power. Another tribute to this much-admired hero is found at the Chukkan Towers, which served as Koxinga's first headquarters. But boring admin center it is not. It's a pleasant compound with delicate streams and gardens to relax you. Within, you can see a fine visual representation of Koxinga sailing across the Taiwan Strait. But it's not all about war. It became an international business port soon after, and you can still see some of the remains today.
So I've arrived in the Anping part of Tainan. And back in the day, in the 17th century, this was very famous for being an international commercial port. These days, I'm walking around the Julius Manick & Co. house, which was a German trading company in the 19th century. And this used to be a very important building where a lot of things happening. These days, not so much, but if anything, it highlights something I've heard about the people of Tainan, who are famous on the island for being extremely commercially minded. So they've taken a building which maybe had lost its way and have turned it into a celebration of all things German. So you can walk around a German museum, then have a cup of German beer and some German food.
Entrepreneurialism is key here, and there's a saying in Taiwan that a man with a wife from Tainan is fortunate, as 9 girls out of 10 come from a rich family. Fact is, Tainan has a reputation for producing great businessmen down through the centuries.
This should be simple math. Take one goddess, Mazu, plus one festival, Burning Man, and that should equal 7 life-changing, eye-opening, culture-bridging days. Last I checked, 1 plus 1 doesn't equal 7. That's because this isn't such a simple equation. Let's start at square one. Who is Mazu?
Mazu is religion of Taiwan people, even me. So I think the Mazu is a part of life.
Every year for the last 200 years, the way Mazu celebrates her birthday is to have one of the rowdiest parties anywhere. There are fireworks, art cars, dancing, music, LED lights everywhere she goes. Her devotees carry her throne on their shoulders all over the island of Taiwan. This year, we want to help her cross the Pacific Ocean to celebrate at her newest temple in the Black Rock Desert. Which brings us to square two. What is Burning Man?
Anything you think of is possible. It's a very rare thing in the world to go, you can do anything you want. Go ahead, see what happens.
Who are we? That's square three, Mazu's posse, from Taipei, Taiwan, the Dream Community, from America, Canada, and New Zealand, the Department of Public Arts. Square four, why would a sea goddess go to the desert? What exactly does this project aim to do? Mazu, Goddess of the Empty Sea, is a transcultural temple bringing the traditions of the goddess Mazu into the context of Burning Man. It's a first-person taste of Asian culture. We'll build a temple complete with fire-breathing dragons, surrounded with Chinese lanterns. Mazu and her bodyguards will parade through the streets of Black Rock City from the Taiwan Village, a campsite where you can step into Taiwan's nightlife.
So how to doing something in Asia project in Burning Man is how to let our rich cultures have a chance and explosion in this world stage. So this is very important, especially how to educate the Asia people. We grow up in this conservative cultural background, but we still have our creative part. We can let our cultures can get new life and creative new face for the futures.
The initial idea that got everyone excited, that got the proposal approved, that got this team together, just sort of fell out of my brain onto the page, and I went, all right, let's do that. And I don't say that to brag by any means, and it sort of felt like the guys have been watching this one since the beginning.
Yeah, I've been spending the better part of my life trying to figure out what it is to be an Asian American. I've always kind of struggled with my identity as an Asian and my identity as an Asian living in America. I felt like this was the perfect chance to really get to know some more of my culture, even though I'm not Taiwanese. It's very similar, and it's been a really, really humbling ride here in Taiwan.
That means the real calculation is this: Mazu plus you equals infinity. How do you factor into this equation? There is so much that you can do. We need your help to make this project a success. Whether you can send money, donate camping gear, build with us, or repost this Indiegogo campaign, it all adds up.
But we need to have the support of the Burning Man community. We need to have the support of our family and friends. We need to have our support of our connections throughout the world. It's not always easy to ask for financial help, but we all know that that's part of the game. What I've learned here at the Dream Community is dream big and build bigger. And I think what we're doing here is building the community in a framework that we can grow from. And with your help, with your support, and coming along for the ride, you won't be disappointed.
You should support this project if you want to build a bridge for Asian culture. You should support it if you want to help make an artistic vision of a compassionate goddess into reality. Basically, if you want to see it happen, you should support it. Thank you for everything you donate to Mazu, Goddess of the Empty Sea.